Well, it finally happened. We now have the details for Project Highland or the refresh Model 3. There is so much to unpack, so make sure you stick around to the end because unlike other videos you've probably seen, I'm going to go into the details on this. I'm going to break this down, go into the data, convert things over to our standards here in the US. So a standard range over in Europe is not the same standard that we have here in the US as an example. So I'm going to break this down for you, tell you what we should anticipate to see EPA range and all the other figures related to this Model 3 refresh Project Highland that's finally been released. So here are the high-level facts on the refreshed Model 3. Tesla has supposedly made a change in something like 50% of the total parts. Some of the more visual things, our headlights are definitely different. There's no more fog lights, which is definitely a disappointment. They do have some new wheels, both 18 and 19, but they both come in those same configurations of Sport and Aero. There are some extra covers on the 19-inch wheels, which would suggest that these are made to add efficiency to adding those 19-inch wheels. We also have two brand new colors, Ultra Red, which is a color that we started seeing here in the United States with the Model S and X, and then a new color, Stealth Gray. This is a brand new color, no matter where you're from. This looks pretty sharp. At first, I thought it was very much like the Midnight Silver Metallic. However, it's definitely a different color altogether. Working our way around to the back, we can see these brand new tail lights. They are one piece instead of two. So when you open the trunk of the car, the tail lights do not split anymore. It all goes up. And speaking of, when you open the trunk of the car, both struts on the trunk are motorized. So this makes for a much more confident opening and closing of the trunk. And of course, you can see on the back, on this trunk as well, is the Tesla letters right here prominently displayed on the back of the vehicle. The rear also comes with a new diffuser and it looks slightly changed here, but nothing too major. Apparently Tesla has done this refresh with the same exact motors and the same exact battery that's in the car today. This is kind of a surprise. We were expecting to see a next generation motor in these things, perhaps an improved battery with the new CATL battery that was coming out, the M3P, but it appears that we are still going to be sitting at what's estimated to be a 60 kilowatt hour battery pack that we have today. With all of that, apparently Tesla has improved aerodynamics and efficiency by 8%. So they've done things like bring the hood back further and moving the air around with that front bumper. Certainly removing the fog lights on the front gives them the opportunity to close off another area that's prone to turbulence in the air, and that all came to 8%. So the drag coefficient now is 0.219, which is down from 0.225. So they've definitely found ways to improve the efficiency, which is important because when we get to the dimensions, you'll see why having more efficient design is really important with this new refresh Model 3. On the inside, we have a brand new dash with ambient LED lights, and these LED lights move all the way through the cab, which is very nice improvement, a very nice upgrade. There's also apparently a personalized cover that you can put on this dash. So more to come on that. There's not a lot of details just yet on what that means exactly, but apparently it's colors and material that you can change. The steering wheel, of course, is new, and we knew this was coming. And one bright side to this steering wheel is the horn has apparently been moved back to where the airbag is, which is much appreciated for the Model 3 refresh. It does, however, have turn signals, the brights, wipers, voice command, all on the steering wheel. And then there's this new button I've noticed, and it is what appears to be a camera. So I'm assuming this is used to capture or save dash cam footage. So it'll be interesting to see, is this just to turn on the cameras like your reverse cameras, or is this to save your dash cam footage while you're driving? More to come on that as well. The center console has been updated surprisingly, but it is very similar to what we have today. However, it's now a two-piece door, so it gives you more of a similar feel to the Model S and X refresh with that two-door opening. Tesla apparently has been busy at work with noise enhancements in the vehicle. Of course, one of the complaints that people have brought up in most Teslas is road noise. And Tesla has been working on this over the years. Every year, it seems Tesla works on a new improvement for this, whether it be laminated glass or better seals around the vehicle It's always something new, and it's no different here. As a matter of fact, the improvements sound pretty substantial according to Tesla. We are looking at an improvement of 30% in ambient and wind noise, 25% in impact, which is the suspension, and 20% of road noise. This is all compliments of yet another enhancement in laminated glass that's actually now in the back seats, those two windows, and the very rear window has also been upgraded. New seals around the vehicle, and then finally these new tires that have been specially designed for this vehicle. These were designed with sound in mind. Also, we are learning there's a new suspension upgrade, and this is not the recent upgrade that we had on the Model Y. This upgrade is pretty substantial. It sounds like they've done a lot of work on the front end of this car to get the suspension even more comfortable than it has been in the past. Model 3 is a pretty harsh ride to begin with, so this is a much needed improvement and very welcome improvement. Here front and center, we can see the screen is exactly the same size as before. As a matter of fact, it's very likely the same screen. However, it appears to be more responsive, so there's probably some upgraded hardware embedded into the screen. Tesla is calling this new air system on the front of the car for your HVAC the Airway 2.0 system. And this is an improved air system that's going to allow your HVAC to run more efficiently and perhaps even stronger, more directed air specifically where you want it. Tesla has also improved the Bluetooth and Wi-Fi signal in the car, so you should be able to get a better signal from Wi-Fi when you're in the driveway. And then also Bluetooth has been separated, so there's two Bluetooth units on here, which should improve your ability to connect to the vehicle as you're approaching. And of course, the biggest, most exciting, most anticipated upgrade, the cooled front seats. Indeed, they are cooled seats. We do have perforated seats in the rear, but those are not cooled. The front two seats, though, those are cooled seats. And that is something that a lot of people are going to be very happy to hear. Interestingly enough, Tesla did upgrade the already awesome sound system in the Model 3. It now comes with 17 speakers, which is up from 14. In addition, the USB-C in the front can charge 65 watts, which means it is powerful enough to charge more than just your phone. One of the bigger surprises here in this update is the rear is actually going to get a screen, much like the refresh Model S and X. This was unexpected, and although it does seem a little bit smaller, it does allow you to stream Netflix, Disney, all the same functionality, including controlling the HVAC, heated seats, all those things right here in the new refresh Model 3. This is a very awesome improvement, and if you have kids, you will really appreciate having this. Now, supposedly this is going to start reaching customer hands in October, and that is for the European market outside of the UK. It's not yet confirmed here in the US when we will get our cars, because in Europe, they're getting their Model 3 from Giga Shanghai. In the United States, we get ours from Fremont, and those upgrades apparently have happened to the line. So more to come on timing of when here in the United States we will get our refreshed Model 3s. Now I want to pivot over to the details, get down to the specifics. What is different? Let's talk about range. Let's talk about dimensions, because I'm not just going to tell you what other people say range is. I'm going to convert that for you, so that way you can have a really good understanding of perhaps what the range could be on this new refresh Model 3. There's actually two different ranges we can look at here, and it's like all other Teslas, depending on which wheels you get will determine what your range is. Now, if you get the Aero wheels, the range is stated to be 678 kilometers on the long-range all-wheel drive and 554 kilometers on the rear-wheel drive. Now, if you step up to the 19-inch wheels, you're talking 629 kilometers on the long-range all-wheel drive and 513 kilometers on the rear-wheel drive. Now, these are WLTP ratings. That is not what we have in the US, and the EPA ratings are a little bit tougher, so the range numbers are going to come down quite a bit. So we need to make two conversions here. First and foremost, we need to convert from kilometers to miles, and then we want to convert from miles WLTP to miles EPA. So there is a formula that you can use, and it's a decent formula. It is stated to be plus or minus something like 8% off. So let's start with the 18-inch wheels. If we take 554 kilometers, convert that to miles, that's 344.2. For EPA numbers, we divide by 1.12, giving us 307.3 miles. For the long range, 678 kilometers, 421.3 miles, or EPA 376.2 miles. Over on the 19-inch wheels, we have 513 kilometers on the rear-wheel drive, which converts to 318.9, and EPA would be 285 miles of range. On the long-range all-wheel drive, 629 kilometers, which would be 390.8, giving us an EPA of 349 miles. Now, there's a couple things to note. It says very specifically the certified WLTP ratings are only good for the 19-inch wheels, which is the lower range number. The smaller wheels, which give you a longer range, are an estimate. Those are not certified yet, so these are Tesla's best guess on what those numbers will be. It's probably going to be something very close to that, if not a little bit more. So converting those numbers over, let's compare that to what we have today in the Model 3 here in the United States. Starting with the 18-inch wheels, rear-wheel drive, 272 miles today, up to 307 miles EPA. That would give us a 13% improvement in range. That's pretty awesome. And it would be north of 300, meaning there would no longer be a Model 3 under 300 miles range. That would be huge. The long range all-wheel drive, 333 today, up to 376. Again, 13% improvement. If it does indeed come at 376, that is a massive number. Now, of course, the Model 3 went from 358 down to 333 when they switched to LFP. But if they're able to get 376, that is a massive number. You're only like 30 miles short of the Model S long-range all-wheel drive. Not only is that a huge number, that's going to be a tough number to beat. Pivoting over now to the 19-inch wheels. Rear-wheel drive will be going from 267 miles to 285. This one's a little bit interesting because it's only a 6.6% improvement. On the long-range all-wheel drive, 315 miles up to 349 miles, or 10.8%. Even if these were the new numbers, I think that these are pretty awesome numbers. Going about 350 miles on the long-range all-wheel drive is a solid improvement. It's a solid number to hit. These are awesome improvements in overall range. Now, until the EPA actually does their testing, obviously these are estimates. And even the numbers from Tesla in the 18-inch wheels are estimates. So there's a lot of room here for some deviation. So we will see what these end up being long-term. But now let's look over on the dimensions of the vehicle. So looking at the long-range all-wheel drive, we have 333 miles of range today, up to 376 miles estimated. That's 43 miles improvement in range. 0 to 60 estimated to be the same at 4.2 seconds. Weight nearly identical. Only 4 pounds were shed in the overall change in this car, dropping it to 4,030 pounds. We did get 1 additional cubic foot of space, which is yet to be determined where that came from, whether it's the front, sub-trunk, rear, wherever. There's an extra cubic foot of space. The ground clearance actually went down by 1/10 of an inch. And then finally, we have length. The car actually grew by 1 total inch. Now, all these numbers come from converting over from the dimensions that we have on the European order sites. Summary here, you get an extra inch of length and potentially 40 additional miles of range on the long range all-wheel drive. This was absolutely unexpected, and I'm excited to hear from some of you. Do you guys like this new look? Do you like some of the features? What are some of the things that you like the most? For me, it's gotta be the ventilated seats, followed closely by that rear screen for our kids. Let me know in the comments what you think about this. I do hope that you enjoyed this video, and I will catch you on the next one.